Hey everybody, this is Final Flame Productions. I'm doing a little review of The Punisher, the Netflix series that just aired there last Friday, I believe. I'm going to go through what I liked, what I didn't like, and mostly I would have to say that I've been a little bit disappointed by the series. I was looking forward for a long time. I loved Punisher and Daredevil. I thought that John Bernthal, I thought the connection, the conflict between Daredevil and Punisher was terrific, and I was expecting a lot from the Punisher show. And while I liked some of it, I was disappointed by a lot of the decisions made by the directors, writing team, whatever. First of all, I'll say the stuff I liked. I thought that Bernthal was terrific. He's a great actor. He showed that in Walking Dead. He showed it in countless films since. I think he's a very good Punisher, but I think the problem is that the scripts they're giving him, the way they're writing a character, the way they're changing stuff from the comics, they are slightly ruining him, and I think they're doing a disservice to an actor who, when he's hitting the right strides with the character, he is a very good Punisher. I think Ben Barnes as Billy Russo, I'm going to say it right now, I should have said at the start, but there will be lots of spoilers here, so if you don't want spoilers, if you haven't finished the season yet, don't watch anymore. But Ben Barnes as Billy Russo and as Jigsaw at the end of the season, we don't see him much as Jigsaw, but I think he'll be a very effective Jigsaw. He fits the role as Russo. He's a extremely dislikable and quite self-obsessed person, and I think that fits perfectly. The action scenes in general in the show are violent, they're well shot, they're physical, lots of blood, lots of you can feel it. It's not overly edited and not CGI and stuff like that. It's what the Punisher action scene should be, just ground level practical effects, and it should hurt, and a lot of the characters meet very tough deaths. The villains in general are good, as Ben Barnes is really good. The other villains look and feel like Punisher villains, but again, I feel that not enough time was given to some of them. Only Billy Russo is really fleshed out as a proper character, and they done well with him. The co-stars in general are good. The female cop, the Microchip, is a very strong character in the show, although they have changed his origin story a lot as well. And in general, the co-stars and the backup actors are very well acted. Unfortunately, I think they're given way too much time. There's too much screen time given to a lot of characters for a lot of scenes that may add to the character development, but I did feel it was dragging. And I mean, 13 episodes may be a lot, but in general, I've seen a lot of shows that have spent a lot more time on characters and storylines, and they have a lot more going on. Like one of my favorite shows is Prison Break. Now, Prison Break is a very different show, but Prison Break had about 22 episodes in one set location, by and large, and it was able to move the plot every episode, have something exciting happen every 5-10 minutes, and keep you interested in the plot progressing. In The Punisher, it kind of feels like the plot's plodding along, and every 3 episodes something really important happens, but in between then you're sort of just buying time. And character development is important. I know this. I don't expect action scenes and explosions every 3 minutes, but you've got to get things moving. And a lot of the time, I think this show could have been cut in half, and it would have probably done the exact same. It would have covered as much ground as it probably did. And the controversy of the show, which some people leveled at, that isn't something that I would criticize the show for. I mean, if you have a problem with this type of show, you also would have a problem with John Wick, with Liam Neeson films, with Fast and Furious. there's violence, there's action scenes. You know that this is what the kind of movie is. I mean, you don't go to see a romantic comedy and then complain that there's too much silly comedy and small C stuff. So if you go to see a Punisher movie or a Netflix show, you're going to get that. As far as the bad stuff, maybe I've already started with the bad stuff, but I think they've changed the origin of the Punisher too much. Punisher should be a character that is completely unhinged, somebody that is detached from society, and we get a lot of that. I think the show starts really well. He's chasing after villains. He's working at a building, and he doesn't even speak. He's just this mute who is brooding, and all that stuff is perfect. But then the show, I can't think now, it's 2 or 3 episodes in, it moves the character in a much more humane way where he's talking with loads of characters. And I know that the Punisher is able to carry a conversation with people, but the Thomas Jane Punisher done it really well, where you could feel that every time he was having a conversation with somebody, he was hurting and that he was a broken person. And I feel like the Netflix show, it goes back and forth between him being a completely unhinged, having lots of nightmares, not being able to function in the world, and then other times he can speak and talk to people, laugh, joke, and he comes across as just a normal guy. So I felt the way the character was written, it's not Bernthal's fault, but I think it's quite an uneven script. They sort of lose the run of him, and he starts as the Punisher, hunting down criminals, then he stops, and it becomes more normal, and for most of the season, he's sitting in a basement talking with the Microchip character, and only in the end does he fully go back into the Punisher mode. But then at the end of the season, in the last scene, he says that he doesn't have any more wars to fight, which isn't the Punisher. The Punisher should always have a war to fight against the criminal scum of New York, whatever. But at the end of the Netflix show, it sort of seems like he's doesn't have anything more to fight for. Doesn't feel that he has any more enemies or demons to go after, and that really isn't the Punisher. The Punisher has always been a character who is obsessed with chasing down villains and bad guys, but this Punisher seems to only go after people that have directly done something bad to him, which isn't really the Punisher. The Microchip's wife subplot is another subplot that goes on way too long. I understand it. I actually thought at the start it was pretty interesting that, Frank would look after them and see that they're okay, because Microchip can't do that. But then the show starts to go in this weird direction where Frank and Microchip's wife are having a sort of an unspoken affair where they don't actually do anything, but you feel there's tension, and Microchip's looking on the camera at them, kind of, hitting on each other, and it's a completely unnecessary subplot that doesn't really fit the character of the Punisher. Like, he wouldn't do that. If you would never see the Thomas Jane character in the 2004 film ever do that. It just felt completely out of character, and on top of that, it just did seem completely unnecessary. The Lewis storyline, I actually didn't mind. I thought it actually ended up being something impactful. It got the action, it got the show moving when Punisher and Lewis are chasing after each other, but before that it did drag on too much. I think the plot in general moves too slowly. We have 13 episodes, which isn't that much in the scheme of things, but man, does this show take a time getting from one thing to the other, and there's like good 20-minute chunks where it's just dialogue for the sake of dialogue, and I feel that you've got to get things moving. You've got interesting, exciting characters, lots of characters that they could have used, like the Nucci family, Kingpin. You've got Barracuda. There's all these different comic book characters that you could have brought in. Bullseye, another one that you could have sprinkled in there, and even for an episode had him chasing after some of those. But the show's not interested in that. The show keeps with the cop character, with Billy Russo, with Microchip and Frank, and a lot of the time, sure, the plot is moving, but at a very slow pace, and it becomes a little bit of a bore. And I thought, okay, 2 or 3 episodes is fine, but it kind of went the whole way to the end of the season, except the last 3 episodes are proper good. And then they're hinting that there's going to be a love interest, and the Frank and Karen might get together in the future, which again is just another departure for the character. And if he's going to have a girlfriend in the show, or whatever you want to call it, I think that's just going to add another. It's just going to ruin the character. I think the Karen character, as she is perfectly suitable. Her and Frank are sort of friends. They care about each other. Maybe there might be more, but you should never actually go down the route of them actually being together, because I think it just won't suit the character. It's sure it's going to add more plot to the show, but you've got to add it in different ways. The Punisher shouldn't be somebody that is getting more normal. He should be an unhinged, crazy person who has a lot of good, but they shouldn't start to normalize him too much, and I fear that that's where they're going. So I said all the stuff I didn't like. What I think they should do to fix it in season 2 is I think they need to bring in some proper villains. So Jigsaw hopefully will be the psychotic madman that will get the season moving, and hopefully they won't turn him into a boring character. They should bring in Kingpin, because he's a very, very good character, and he was perfectly played in the first 2 Daredevil seasons, and I think that he could really fit into the Punisher storyline really well and be another thorn in his side. He already has been in Daredevil season 2. I think the Nucci family, if you know from the comics, Ma Nucci is this female head villain of this Nucci family, and she's just a psychopath, crazy woman, and I think that she would be she could be added perfectly into one of the 3 or 4 of the episodes for a subplot of just him taking on those guys. I think that would be terrific. And I think we need to see more of the Punisher going after street criminals. We need to see him being the Punisher and not have him sitting in a basement for most of the season. And just a little pet peeve, I think he should be wearing the skull more often. So again, I didn't hate the show. I loved a lot of it, but I think that they made a mistake in changing the character too much. And I think that they've got to get back to basics, and they've got to get the script moving and the plot moving a lot more quickly and have a lot more excitement, because Daredevil season 2 did it for the first half of the season. Punisher sort of only does it sparingly throughout the season, so I hope that they can resolve these issues in season 2, and I hope it will be a big improvement. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought of Punisher in the comments. Thank you.